what a wonderful location, because look at the tree behind me. Oh, it's a great tree. It's actually in a public place. You usually see me when I'm in the wilderness. I'm way remote, but this actually is public municipal property. And it's appropriate to do this video because I'm talking about urban areas, metropolis, metropolitan places, major cities, and this is just like a factual presentation that I'm doing. And of course, of all places to find out this info, it was Wikipedia. So they posted the list, and Tokyo comes out first with over 37 million in that consolidated area. In other words, they're including the whole population, not just what is like the official borders of what might have been the older city. It includes all the spill out of the suburbs and just this contiguous area. And so that to me sounds more accurate, because you're not using fake borders and saying, wow, you just cross over this border and there's just as many people, and it keeps going because of the expansion usually. And so over 37 million is in the Tokyo vicinity. And beyond that, you've got number 2 is Jakarta, Indonesia. And number 3 is Seoul, South Korea. Number 4 is Delhi, India. And number 5 is Shanghai, China. So basically everything in the top 5 is Asia. And we're talking about the Far East. It's not even the side over by the Middle East, or it's over there on the Pacific. Delhi's more closer to the Indian Ocean, but it's in that part of the world, and that's where you have the biggest concentration of people, where you've got several billion right off of that Asian continent there. And this is worth noting. The quantity of people is there, and the great amount of resources that they're using. Even though they say the United States, and might as well throw Canada in there, as using a lot of resources because they're so developed and high tech, they use more per capita. But let's talk about how you can look at the statistics not just as the count of population, because that's very generalized. Let's talk about density. Out of those top 5, the highest density is Delhi, India. It's almost 4 times as dense as Tokyo. So that means for every, say, street corner, or every acre, or every apartment, you've got 3 times as many people crammed into that same space in Delhi as compared to Tokyo. Tokyo has 4,400 people per square kilometer. So this is metric. In any case, you just imagine. I'm doing comparisons here, and not as measurement. But if you try to imagine the measurement, a kilometer is not quite 2/3 of a mile. So you're talking about smaller than a square mile by about 1/3 roughly. You have to increase it a little bit more if you think in terms of miles, but it's kind of hard to. You have to pick a area that you're familiar with and measure a mile and then a mile over and say, okay, you get a scope of that, this road and this neighborhood and maybe a mall in there or a school or a plaza or whatever, and see there's your square kilometer or there's your square mile, and just imagine that many people in it. In Delhi, India, almost 12,000 people in every square kilometer. Okay? So these are different ways of looking at the stats. I find it fascinating because even though I haven't really gone too many places, I've gone enough places. You know, I'm internationally traveled. You know that because you've seen my videos from everywhere. I've been in multiple countries, multiple continents, and I'm fascinated by looking at this information because I like to know things before I get there. And with more information, I kind of plan out what I'm going to do, you know, as I'm getting there. So let's get more into this. The number 6 is Manila, Philippines. Number 7 is Karachi, Pakistan. Think about Karachi that's significant here in this top 10. They have the highest density of the most populated areas. They have 26,000 people per square kilometer, if this figure is correct. So, how is that compared? Karachi, Pakistan, compared to Tokyo, 26,000, 4,400 into 26,000. That's 5.5 times as many people. So, let's just round up and say 6. You go through a square kilometer of Tokyo, but you gotta see 6 times as many people. That means for every one that you see in Tokyo, there's 5 more in Karachi. So I have to think about this and consider it before I go to Karachi for my big world tour. Number 8 is the first one in another continent, and that's North America. New York City. It says that they have 20 million and a half. It's very close to the same amount in Karachi. Yet, they've only got about 2,000 people per square kilometer. Karachi's got 26,000. So that's 13 times as many in the area. I'm very familiar with New York City, so I can just try to imagine what I've seen in New York City. Karachi is going to be 13 times more, you know, compact and crowded, congested, or, you know, whatever you want to think. So now we continue with more American cities. São Paulo, Brazil is next, number 9. I'm surprised because I thought Rio was the biggest city in Brazil. Next we got Mexico City, of course. You always hear about them being huge. That's almost as many people as the New York City area, but it's much smaller at the square footage. So there's your top 10. Then after that, you go right back to Asia. You got Beijing, Guangzhou, Fushan, which I've never even really heard of. It's Guangzhou. So another interesting thing about this is that I've never even heard some of these cities. That's number 12. Number 13 is Mumbai, India, Osaka, Kobe, Kyoto, Tri-City area, all connected in Japan. Number 14. Number 15 is Moscow, Russia. 16 is Cairo, Egypt. 17 is Los Angeles, which I'm also very familiar with, just like New York City and Mexico City. But Los Angeles, number 17, has 15 million people. And they're not very crowded at all. Just slightly more crowded than New York City overall. So, I'll give you 17 cities there just to ponder. I'm going to leave you with this, because you can go to the Wikipedia page, or you can find out your lists anywhere you want to. I just find that Wikipedia seems to be pretty comprehensive. I just want to question its accuracy a little bit, so I'm going to have to double check all the facts. But I'll leave you with this little bit of fact here. The biggest density, most density is 44,500 people per square kilometer in a town called Dhaka, Bangladesh. And they're number 20 on the list. 44,500. So compare that to Tokyo. That's 44,000. Is that 10 times as many? Yeah, 10 times as many as Tokyo. But compared to New York, it's like 20 times as many people. It's amazing the differences in these city areas. Even though the way I look at it, most cities are the same. They have a lot of the most similar problems that I try to avoid because I don't spend a lot of time in cities. But there are also a lot of differences. So here's to world traveling from Peter-Appleseed, still wandering in my mind. But I am settling down physically. Come visit me sometimes. Wherever city you're from, whatever continent, come check us out. We live better.